Hello viewers, welcome back to Raxio Hour. We hope the new year is progressing smoothly thus far. 2022 started with a bang for Raxio Data Centre as a team led by our General Manager James Byaruhanga went on a tour of the Albertine-Graben region, also known as Uganda's Oil Valley, to explore the opportunities presented by the oil and gas sector that are in favour of the IT and data centre sector. Uganda has in recent years made a couple of oil discoveries in the Albertine-Graben region. With such key findings, the oil and gas sector is set to prominently feature in Uganda's development in the coming years. According to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Uganda is expected to become East Africa's second highest oil producer after South Sudan, with a potential of 2 billion barrels of oil. Peak production is expected to be 150,000 to 200,000 barrels per day for 10 to 20 years. This is expected to bring an estimate of $2.3 billion and create at least 10,000 jobs on peak production. Let us hear from James Byaruhanga, the General Manager, Raxio Data Centre, David Egwell, the Network Operations Center Manager, Raxio Data Centre, and Alan Najuko, the Sales Manager, Raxio Data Centre, on how data centers such as Raxio Data Centre are essential in supporting the promising evolution of the oil and gas sector and the Albertine region at large.
So in the first week of January 2022, as Raxio Data Centre, we thought the best way to start the year was to hit the ground running. And we basically took a decision to visit the Albertine-Graben, which is also popularly known as the Oil Valley in Uganda. The biggest thing that we've been waiting for in Uganda is oil and gas. Oil in Uganda is predominantly in the Hoima region as well as Bulisa region. It also stretches into the Pakwach region. It's all alongside the Lake Albert, basically between Lake Albert and what you call the Albert Nile. It's in the Rift Valley, which is why they call it, I guess, the Albertine-Graben. So our predominant reason for going there was to, one, explore the opportunities that there are in oil and gas, understand the plans for the government and the oil and gas sector in terms of mining and refining oil and gas. The key things obviously around the oil and gas industry are the oil wells. In Uganda, it's basically both on land and offshore. Understanding what they're planning to build around the industrial parks. The key developers right now in Uganda is CNOOC as well as Total E&P. And of course, to understand the plans around the oil pipelines, both in Uganda as well as the continuous export pipeline to Tanga, Dar es Salaam, onward going into the Indian Ocean, as well as, of course, to study the planned Kabale Industrial Park, where the airport, the new international airport, is part of the project, and of course the oil refinery, which is coming up in the industrial park. So we wanted to really understand the whole ecosystem that is being built around the oil and gas sector, to see the opportunities around data and digital migrations that they have planned, and obviously just to see the whole development that is coming in around Hoima as a city, Bulisa as a town, Pakwach area. Also look at the new bridge and what opportunities that presents, and of course the ecosystem that surrounds anything and everything around the new area. Personally, I'd been to the oil and gas area about 8 years ago. When things slowed down with Talo, I hadn't quite visited, and this visit was really mind-blowing. It actually made me think about the proverbial Canaan, the land of milk and honey. It's like the promised land. It's such a huge area of opportunity. Our key learnings there was, first of all, to understand the infrastructure around how the oil is being extracted from the lake, from on land, how it's being brought into the industrial parks, which are basically called the well pads, and how it's being onward extended with the tributary pipelines into the refinery, and then, of course, how it's going to be onward sent out of the international pipelines. So, the whole project involves around a big chunk of it is going to be processed in Uganda for the Ugandan market, and a big component of it is also going to be upstream exported to Europe for further refinery. So I looked at all the opportunities around there in terms of what is actually on the ground, the groundbreakings that have happened, what is being planned, and just really analyzing how IT can influence the general ecosystem around oil and gas, and of course just understanding the ancillary business that will develop as a result of this big project. I definitely think that there's a huge need for a data center in the Albertine region. One of the things that I really took time to analyze was what are the developments and what are the stages of development that are involved in this whole thing. And I think this is not just for a data center, but it's also for everyone out there who's thinking about investing in the oil and gas industry or supporting business around oil and gas industry. When you think about it, everything is about information these days. So whether it's an industrial park, whether it's an industry, whether it's a factory, whether it's a pipeline, whether it's a refinery, whether it's an airport, whether it's name it, anything and everything that you think can be part of an industrial development project requires data, and it requires real-time transmission of data. There's a need for huge amounts of connectivity in this area. Of course, some of the connectivity partners are already getting there. There's a huge amount of power to support the entire ecosystem. There's a huge amount of digitization because every bit of information requires to be digitized these days. There's a huge amount of data analytics, whether it's for the prospecting phases that are coming in later, or the exploration phases, or actually the production phases. There's a big amount of data. There's a huge amount of human resource that's going into this place. There's a lot of other businesses that support oil and gas. It could be contractor businesses, it could be byproduct businesses. Think about cosmetics businesses. Think about cooking oil. Think about every single thing that you know is a byproduct of oil that will come up as a result of this refining and the whole prospecting process that's going to happen there. And of course, you know, when there's people, it comes with also social businesses. All that's coming in, finance, extension of financial services to these places, whether it is for the community or for the sector itself. This also requires a lot of data. And there's a need for disaster recovery for all this data that's happening in this area. So I generally think that there's a huge demand that will lead to a need for a data center, especially around the Kabale Industrial Park, because that's where everything seems to amalgamate. Whether it's a refinery, it's going to be in Kabale. Whether it's the airport, it's already been built in Kabale. The pipeline starts from Kabale. The tributary pipelines from all the different industrial parks aggregate in Kabale. I think it's a very exciting area to look at, and I think it's going to really be the next big thing in this country.
I am David Egwell, the Services Manager at Raxio Uganda. Part of my remit is also managing the 24/7 Network Operations Center. It is of great interest to Raxio for everything that is going to be happening in the oil region over the next 6 years. There's going to be an airport the size of Entebbe. It will only be a cargo airport, yes, but there will be as much operations supporting the production of oil through the central processing facility. This central processing facility will be supported by other industries. There will be a lot of power generation, everything that needs real-time data. We currently boast of the only Tier 3 certified facility, co-location facility in Uganda. This also allows us to host a multitude of customers that will also have a foot in the Hoima region. There is going to be an industrial park built in the Hoima industrial region. Raxio would be able to support the co-location needs for all these industries. However, it is a joint effort. This can only be achieved through the connectivity partners, the mobile network operators, and any other content providers that need to aggregate data in Hoima. Raxio would therefore be the centerpiece of this ecosystem. Through my supervisor, we are looking at maybe putting a 2 megawatt facility at the start, which can be expandable as needs go by. A lot of it will be connectivity and data collection service. We, through the regulator, will also provide any real-time need for access by our existing customers that are still going to provide services down there, or we could have new entrants into the service industry that we are still ready to host. All in all, we are ready to go and set up down in Hoima, and we can still provide the same first-class Tier 3 data service in Hoima.
My name is Allen Nadjoko. I'm the Sales Manager at Raxio Data Centre. When you look at the oil and gas sector, you realize that a lot of data is going to be generated because of the day-to-day activities. And at a certain point, data management will be the theme. When you look at the different sectors, the upstream, middle stream, and downstream, upstream will be the biggest data generator in the region. When I speak of upstream, I speak of Total ENP, I speak of UNOC, I speak of CNOC. These will be the biggest generators of data. And as a result, they'll need high-performing data solutions. There's a number of companies in the Albertine region that will also benefit from this. We know that there are oil wells, we know that there's an industrial park and an airport coming up. All this will need real-time processing of data, generating insights, looking at different revenue opportunities that are there in the market, and also running their day-to-day operations in their offices. This is where the data center comes in. Now, imagine having a data center like Raxio Data Centre. As you know, data centers play a pivotal role in data management. Raxio would ideally serve as a production or a primary site in the Albertine region with a disaster recovery option in Namave. Imagine this is not the company's core business. Why would you want to invest in a data center? Why not collocate with Raxio Data Centre?
With the Albertine region's existing and prospective advancements, it is without a doubt that the oil and gas sector is set to skyrocket in years to come. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Raxio Hour. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. Have a wonderful weekend.